Hello, Steve Mills here, the Prudent Marketer, and welcome to this week's Prudent Marketing Association video. This week I'm going to talk about an old favourite of mine, and that is the building of your crowd development, I call it. Some people call it your database, but that's really what I'm going to focus on. If you take your database right now, and I don't know how many people you've got in your database, so many businesses don't actually have a database, and it just blows my mind that they've been going for 10 years and they don't have a proper database of clients and prospects and so on and so forth. Because there's money in that database, and let's just say that at the moment your business turns over, I want to use $500,000 just for a figure. Okay, your business turns over $500,000, and it does that largely from marketing to your databases. Now, it may be that you've got an email database, it may be you've got a LinkedIn database or a Twitter database, or a Facebook database. Now, to be clear, I don't mean you've got all your people from Twitter on a spreadsheet, although that might be a good idea. What I mean is you've got on Twitter, you've got an amount of followers, people who are connected to you that really you ought to be marketing to. But my question to you is, what would happen if you doubled your database? Let me give you an example. Most of you know that I do a lot of email marketing. Now, I've got about 10,000 names in my database that I market to. If I managed to double, and sorry, just take a step back, and that earns me from that database, from email marketing, about 100,000 a year. That's basically, people say to me, oh, Infusionsoft's very expensive, Steve. No, it isn't. It's next to nothing compared with the return on investment that I get from Infusionsoft. It costs $300 a month to use Infusionsoft, and that produces about £100,000 a year. So, it's not a bad deal. I wish it was better, and I'm working constantly to do that. And one of the ways is what I'm talking about now. So I take those 10,000 emails and I send them an email campaign. Let's say I'm marketing, I don't know, maybe one of my LinkedIn workshops or a internet marketing workshop, something like that. And that produces a result for me. Let's say goes out to 10,000 people, I get 3,000 people open the email, I get maybe 100 people click through to the website, and that produces, let's say, 20 people on the actual workshop that pay the money to go to the workshop. Now, question is, what could I do to improve that? Well, there's many things I could do. I could improve the conversion rate, improve the landing page, the video on the page, the email, write better words, have a better call to action, have a stronger call to action, use referrals, testimonials, have a testimonial video maybe. There are loads of things I can do, but one of the things is to grow the database. So instead of it going out to 10,000 people, what would happen, give or take a few, if it went out to 20,000 people? Well, you don't need to be an accountant and you don't need to be Einstein to work out that probably, give or take, instead of getting 20, I'd get 40. In other words, I'd double my business. And I really want you to think about this, because this is so incredibly true. The big question I've got for you, and I know I've asked you this on one of the previous, I think back about, I don't know, the third or the fourth email you got in this series, was about, if you remember the example of the hotels in Hampshire. If you sell to hotels in Hampshire and your database has got 1,000 people on, but there are 5,000 hotels in Hampshire, then you're losing out on 80% of your market. Now, I know you know that. What I don't know is, have you done anything with it? You know, I really hope you have. I really hope you're constantly and never-endingly trying to grow your database, because that's what really counts. So, you know, you need to work on that. That's definitely an area that you need to work on. But what about LinkedIn? What about your LinkedIn database? Do you need to work on that, or shall we just ignore it? You know, if you've got 200 or 400 or 2,000 or 4,000 contacts, wouldn't it be great to double that? You know, I don't know about you, but I can't see why you wouldn't do that. And what you also want to do is to use LinkedIn to develop your email database. When somebody connects to me on LinkedIn, I try to work them into my email database. I send them an email saying, thank you for connecting on LinkedIn. It's great to have you as part of my LinkedIn team. What I'd like to do is add you to my email database so I can provide you with tips and information on what's happening right now in the world of marketing. Would that be okay? Everybody says yes. Nobody's ever said no, I don't think. So I've got thousands of people that I'm connected to on LinkedIn, or also in my email marketing. And that's where this cross-fertilization comes in. I will tell you, I've not been that good at doing the same with Twitter and with Facebook, and that's just purely down to lack of resources. But if I had the time, if I had the people, I'd probably look to try and do that as well, because why wouldn't you? So, you know, think about that. I use LinkedIn. That's my main source of business as far as social media is concerned. But one of the things that I would do if I wanted to think, right, okay, I'm really going to start pushing myself more on Facebook, then that would be one of the things I'd want to do. Connect to people, or get people who are connected to me, who follow my company, out of Facebook and into my email marketing system. And you should be constantly looking at ways in which you should do that, or could do that. So that's sort of the main things that I want to talk to you about today. Development of your database. And again, I know I've mentioned this before, but would you rather, if you were looking to buy a business, or from your point of view maybe one day to sell your business, do you think you'd get more for it if it had a database of 30,000 people or a database of 300 people? Which business would you rather buy? Okay, yeah, I hope and believe that you know, it's pretty obvious that, you know, I'd rather buy, you know, a database of 30,000 people, or a business with a database of 30,000 people who've been marketed to on a regular basis, who are used to receiving information from that company and are actively, you know, involved, even if they're not buying yet. That will be much more of a valuable company than one that just, you know, they're 300 database and they haven't marketed to them for a couple of years. So, you know, that you know, if you're a member of the Prudent Marketing Association and you're a business that's looking to grow and you're dedicated to growing that business, you know, you cannot afford not to do this. I think that strongly about it. So, you know, as ever, take action and, you know, grow your business. And I look forward to, again, speaking to you next week. Thank you ever so much for listening, and, you know, take action.